we're going to continue to make these videos going into the future, and the whole reason that we're making them is basically to support you and everyone else to see that no thing is as it seems. In other words, the lies and the propaganda from the deep state is gradually having less and less of an effect on humanity as more and more people start to see through all of these ridiculous lies that they've been imposing on humanity for a very, very long time. So guys, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to this channel and to share this video with anybody, so anybody who you believe will benefit from these messages of love and hope. And when we talk about hope, guys, what we really mean is HOPE. In other words, help other people expand. And that's really what we're trying to do with these videos. So if you feel that any of these videos will help other people to expand, please share them freely. Please subscribe to the channel, because obviously as the channel grows, so does the ability for this message to get out to more and more people. So guys, it is indeed a massive, massive privilege, I believe, to be incarnated on earth at this time as we observe this gradual but inevitable defeat of the deep state. And I'm going to refer basically trap themselves in their own evil web of lies, deceit, and ongoing propaganda, where they've basically created a financial system which is designed to fail every couple of years so that they can steal even more and more tangible wealth from humanity. So what they basically do is as happened in 2008, they have a so-called financial crisis, and then of course the governments of the world step in and prop up all the banks, which is a fantastic system, because you can operate all of these Ponzi schemes, build a fraudulent financial system as they have, which is designed to collapse. I mean, no market, let's look at the stock exchange. I mean, it's a massive Ponzi scheme. It's designed for businesses to only grow. Now, continual ongoing growth is absolutely impossible. And based on that, guys, they know that every seven, and it is, I mean, you just got to look back over the financial markets. Every 7 to 9 years, there is a financial crisis or a financial reset of some description. So, guys, these guys have designed the system to fail, and we're basically just stepping back, and this time we're allowing them to let the system fail. So what we're not going to be doing this time is having our government step in and bail the banks out. So guys, as you know, due to fractional reserve banking, where the banks only need to keep 10% of the money that's deposited, they then lend out 90% of the money. So if more than 10% of depositors ever want to remove their money from the banks at any one time, the banks won't have enough money. So in the past, governments have stepped in, and they've always been the place of last resort, or the bank of last resort, where they would step in and cover those withdrawals. This time round, that's not going to happen, guys. So I believe that it is indeed a massive privilege, guys, to be incarnated on earth as at this time, guys, as we observe this inevitable defeat of the deep state. So what I see us experiencing at the moment, and it's very unpleasant, and I think a lot of people are really experiencing this a lot worse than others, but I think what we're experiencing at the moment is a near-death experience, which I believe is the only way that humanity is going to finally learn those lessons, guys. Those lessons needed to never, ever fall for these ridiculous lies, deceit, etc. Been pushing on us for a very, very long time. I believe that this is all part of the White Hat's master plan, in which they are allowing basically destroy their own demonic system. I mean, it's designed to fail. So they're allowing them to destroy this own or their own system of that they've imposed on us. We're not going to step in. What I mean when I say we, the governments, because remember, the governments are really the people of the world, and we've lost sight of that. We have stopped realizing that government employees are actually our servants, not the other way around. And there has been a complete reversal of roles, where governments impose their rules, regulation, codes on us as sovereign beings, whereas it should be the other way around. They should indeed be serving us as sovereign beings. the government, the people who work for the government, they're public servants, and they've lost sight of that, guys. And I think it's something we need to revisit, and something that is certainly, once we move into the Great Awakening, there's going to be a complete shift as far as, or in terms of government, where governments are no longer going to be imposing rules and regulations, but rather going to be working within communities, and the communities are going to decide. So in other words, government, you're not going to select an individual who's going to impose rules and regulations or impose things. We know politicians get voted in at the moment. What happens? We know for a fact they say one thing to get elected, and then once they elected or selected via criminal fraudulent systems and schemes, etc., those people no longer do what they promised to do. The difference is now, guys, we're not going to be voting for people in the future, but we're rather going to be voting for policies. So in future, when any major policy change has got to be made, etc., we're going to vote. The people are going to be voting for policies, not people. I mean, how beautiful will that be as a form of, I don't know, we can't really call it government, because govern is control and ment is mind. So that is really a way to control the people. So I don't think we'll be calling it a government. We'll probably be calling it a council of wisdom. I don't know, but I certainly don't believe it'll be called a government any longer. So basically, guys, the white hats are basically allowed to take this ridiculous debt-based financial system of enslavement that they've imposed on us, and they're basically just allowing it to implode on itself, as it's designed to do. So, guys, once they've broken their own nefarious financial debt-based system, guys, they're not going to be able to take much more from us any longer, because more and more people are waking up. Every day we get closer and closer to reaching that critical mass of enough awakened people who have seen the truth and seen through the lies, seen through the propaganda. Guys, this evil criminal financial system was intentionally created by the to fail. That was how it was designed. This is done so that governments around the world are forced to step in to save the banks every time this fraudulent financial system collapses, as happened in 2008 and 1987, and we can go back, and there's many, many, many occasions. In fact, the whole bottom line, guys, is it's over. Their system is designed to break. It's breaking. The stock exchange is just about gone. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you go back and look at what happened in the 1929 depression, there has been way more negative moves within the stock exchange, which would imply that, guys, we've been in a depression. The stock exchange has, in fact, imploded. The fact that the central banks around the world are bankrupt, I mean, that says it all. I mean, how can an organization that prints money out of thin air go bankrupt? The only way that could happen is if the white hats step in and they force these criminals to actually buy back their own criminal debt. So, guys, that's another massive indication that we're allowing these guys to destroy themselves, but they are getting a bit of a helping hand, guys. So, basically, guys, the good news is all of that is that the white hats, guys, have obviously, they're allowing these guys to destroy their own criminal debt-based enslavement system, but they have put a safety net in place. So the safety net, guys, that's been provided has come in the form of asset-backed currencies. I mean, I think there's more than 150 countries around the world or have already asset-backed their countries, including the BRICS countries. The new gold-backed reserve currency that's coming from the BRICS countries is another beautiful system that's going to replace that criminal petrodollar. And then, of course, JASARA is sort of the coup de grace. That's the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, which everything, as I say, guys, I look extensively at the financial markets, and I can assure you everything that I would expect to be in place to basically allow the imposition of a JASARA is in place, i.e. currencies being asset-backed. There's very strong talk of currencies being revalued against each other, global currency reset, etc. The things that still are concerning is there can't be any conflict around the world. So things like Ukraine have to be done before the public announcement of Jassara. Obviously, as I said before, there may need to be a military response in Israel. And it's very probable that China is still going to need to go into Taiwan. So those military conflicts need to be resolved. So I think those are the only things at this stage that are delaying the announcement, the official announcement, because everything from a financial perspective that you'd expect to be in place for Jassara is there. But unfortunately, guys, one of the stipulations of Jassara is there can be no war, no conflict between countries around the world. So the official announcement of Jassara, I think, will be delayed. But everything, guys, that's happening right now is designed, it's all about ending the old criminal system of debt enslavement. And what we're working very hard as we move towards the Great Awakening is to replace all of this with a new financial system, a new legal system, a new medical, a new health system, new educational system. Every system that is old and broken and criminalized and fraudulently imposed on humanity by has now been redesigned. We basically built it as a safety net, and it's designed to free every human and empower all of them to accept that there is just unbelievable, unconditional love and abundance. And not only is it on this planet, guys, but it's every one of our birthrights. Guys, the walls have really closed in on them. Wow, what does panic stand for, guys? Means the Patriots are now in control. So they really are, guys, they're on the ropes, as I said in my previous video. But I believe also that SCOTUS has been flipped by the Alliance. And that was done a long time ago. I think they were flipped by the Alliance all the way back in 2019. But I guess you're saying, well, why didn't SCOTUS then step in around? Well, the reason for that, guys, was we didn't want them to. We needed a lot of things to happen, right? So basically, SCOTUS was instructed, guys, not to look. As the Whiteheads needed a fall guy, Biden, whilst certain things had to happen, right? So basically, guys, we're in the process of breaking the old. And while we're breaking the old, we didn't want a President Trump, etc., to be in and be the fall guy. So they literally put a Biden in as what's got to happen on his watch. Well, it's in process, guys. It's the collapse of the stock exchange, the implosion of the bond market, the destruction of the petrodollar, this massive inflation that's going on at the moment, and then of course, guys. But as I'm going to just remind you one more time, guys, everything, and I mean everything that I could possibly imagine that needs to be in place from a financial perspective. I don't know from a military perspective or a legal perspective. There may still be a couple of things. Obviously the bankruptcies of certain countries around the world may have to still be finalized from a legal perspective. Militarily, I'm not exactly 100% sure. There's certainly troop movements all around the world. As far as I've been able to ascertain, South African Defence Forces is not up to the task, I don't believe, of conducting martial law. So I think, as my information that I have to hand, unconfirmed, because I haven't confirmed this from more than 3 independent sources, but unconfirmed, that there are both Russian, US, and Chinese troops in South Africa. The Chinese troops are basically here. They're going to be going. There are police stations. Can you believe it? CCP police stations, Chinese police stations in South Africa. So their job is to basically go in and neutralize those police stations. I believe the Russian troops are going to be acting as peacekeepers, as well as the US troops as well. Although the US That's my understanding. I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct, but I'm pretty convinced that the South African Defence Force is not up to the task to actually conduct the martial law. In other words, as I think many of us have said many times, really is the only way to be allowed to appear to destroy the US economy as it was required to act as, that tipping point. A whole lot of people woke up with the imposition of then the Afghanistan, when the so-called bad withdrawal out of Afghanistan, which was just conducted by the white hats to make more and more people disallow. So as these massive events are allowed to unfold, guys, it wakes people up. So as the US economy is starting to dive, etc., it's acting as a tipping point for a massive amount of people who still remain trapped under control. So all of these are very important facets that we've got to consider, guys. These are basically all required to support humanity to reach that critical mass of awakened people, guys, who can actually see the truth. Because as enough people see the truth, we as a collective consciousness positively, our consciousness grows positively, and that empowers us, guys, to move as a collective consciousness, as humanity, for us to actually start catching up to the planet, because our planet is moving away from us. Our planet, the energies that are coming from the sun, those solar flashes, etc. I mean, basically the Schumann resonance, guys, traditionally, that's basically the frequency of Earth, was about 7.8 hertz previously, which is the brain frequency our brains are in when we are in a highly susceptible state under hypnosis, right? What a beautiful place to keep us, to keep us susceptible. So gradually over time, since 2012, in fact, so it's been for a long time already, there's been massive solar flares, solar flashes coming from the sun, which have really pushed. I mean, I've seen the Schumann resonance as high as 332 hertz, but averaging around 45 hertz and above, which is gamma brainwave frequency, guys, which is a highly evolved, it's the state that you reach when you're in a very deep state of meditation. So, guys, everything is on track. I mean, even the Schumann resonance is demonstrating that the Great Awakening is happening. So now that we're getting closer and closer to reaching that critical mass of awakened people, SCOTUS has publicly announced, guys, that they are actually So in a nutshell, the brain very hard since the to move things through all the lower courts, all the way up to SCOTUS. In fact, guys, the white hats actually, I believe, and again, this is unconfirmed, I've got this from one source only, but I believe that the white hats actually contend, and it's actually so smart. So they're not saying there was a in the US Constitution, it is clearly stated that if there is any doubt about Congress has to take a pause of 10 days and examine whatever the challenges were. Congress went ahead and actually voted. They didn't even take 1 minute to pause to look at the fact that. And so based on that, they are saying that there's over 305 congressmen, or whatever you want to call them, that acted outside the scope of the Constitution, and therefore all 305 of those Congress people should be removed and can never serve in Congress ever again. And obviously, the criminal. I have a reliable info to hand which demonstrates, guys, that SCOTUS have via what they call a shadow docket in June 2022. You know, when they overturned Roe versus Wade under instruction from the white hats, okay? When that happened, they actually voted back then done on a shadow docket, so it hasn't yet been made public, because as I keep reminding you, there's stuff that needs to still go ahead. There's things that need to fail. Guys, things are really hotting up at the moment, and something I just can't understand why things haven't been made public yet, but things are breaking at such a rapid rate that it's going to be impossible for things not to be in the public very soon. So there is so much being revealed through the things. Guys, I think that's actually declass. And very soon, guys, those numerous whistleblowers that are from, guys, that's going to become public knowledge too. So this is, I believe, how the declass is actually happening. This is how the gradual wake-up process is happening, to not scare people too much by having a EAS message go out, which would really scare people, guys. So basically, the information has been drip fed out to people. It's almost like, you're going to see this stuff even if you don't want to. And the white hats, as you know, do everything possible to eliminate, mitigate, or completely remove any possible collateral damage. And that's pretty much what they're doing, guys. So, guys, in fact, I just think it's such a gift to be sitting and observing this unbelievably masterful plan as it unfolds. It's just beautiful to see this unbelievable plan unfold before our eyes every day. Guys, to be honest, it's not been designed by humans. This is sentient. This is coming from Prime Creator. We are getting help. There's no ways, guys, we could have undone thousands of years of etc. without help. So we're certainly getting help. And guys, the Great Awakening is here, and nothing is going to be able to even slow down or most certainly stop the inevitable move towards unconditional love, peace, and unbelievable abundance for all. Guys, the future for humanity is amazing. I think it's time to get yourself a pair of shades.